Attorney General, great to have you back with us.
Lou, great to be back with you.
It just has to be incredibly frustrating for you. This is the second letter that you sent the president asking for his leadership and to take action on the border. Have you received even the courtesy of a response?
Well, I haven't, but before I go into those details, Lou, let me applaud you. If you go back for years, you have been the leading voice in this nation, trying to shine the light on what is going on the border between Texas and Mexico. In fact, all across the United States and Mexico. You were years ahead of everyone else in pointing out what those dangers would be. And so I want to thank you for continuing to help try to educate and inform people across this country the reality. And that is there are extreme dangers on the border. The cartels now have completely begun to infiltrate Texas and other states. And it is essential that we have the resources that the states need and that the federal government needs to apply to help protect our safety and well-being. Specifically in response to your question, have not yet received a response from the Obama administration, but what we expect more than a written response is an effective response in dealing with the border. They need to do two things. One, they need to come up with a game plan for how they are going to attack this problem. And then two, they need to apply the resources to effectuate and achieve that game plan.
And Attorney General, let me just ask you, first let me say thank you for those kind words. But at this point, I mean, does the administration is it demonstrating in any quarter that it takes seriously the issue of border security and the public safety of Americans, whether they're in the state of Texas or any other border state?
Well, every indication I get is that they just don't get it. As you pointed out in your initial comments, this is the second time I sent a letter to the Obama administration. The first time was a little over a year ago when bullets came flying across the border from Juarez and struck City Hall in downtown El Paso. And I pointed out at the time that it was just good fortune that those bullets struck buildings as opposed to bodies. My point, though, is that I did receive a letter in response to that that provided just mainly statistical information about all that the Obama administration claims and contends they are doing. But I haven't really seen a recognition of the reality of the magnitude of the problem. And let me emphasize the nuance of what I'm saying here. We do have men and women who serve in the Border Patrol, in ICE, and various other federal agencies who are doing a terrific job and doing all they can to protect against the growing cartel insurgency in the U.S. The problem, Lou, is that we are outmanned and we are outgunned. There are more cartel operatives on the U.S. side than we have Border Patrol agents dealing with those cartel operatives. Now, let me clarify what I mean by cartel operatives real quick.
That's just an incredible statement, though. I mean, it's just for the administration not to even react is dumbfounding.
Well, it's frightening. Frankly, we hear directly from residents who live along the border in Texas. They are extremely frightened, and they confront these dangers on a daily basis. And they are happy that some people are beginning to shine a light on it. So thank you again for helping to shine that light and spread the word that we need the resources down there. But let me make clear that Texas has tried to address this problem. In the past few years, we've devoted $400 million to address the problem, as well as create what we call the Ranger Recon program, which is a program that combines Texas Rangers, which are elite forces of the Texas Department of Public Safety, as well as members of the Texas Department of Public Safety, working in collaboration with local authorities, where we have boots on the ground working to address the gang and cartel insurgency. But again, we're outmanned and outgunned. That's why we're trying to contact the Obama administration. We need their assistance in resources and in technological tools to better address this problem.
Hugo Rodriguez is the deputy sheriff who was shot 3 times. He is recovering. What is the impact of this kind of violence, an assault on a law enforcement officer there in Texas?
Well, I talked to the sheriff in Hidalgo County, and he talked about the courage of his men and of this particular deputy, and they are up to the task of responding to the cartels. But they're concerned because they are also now recognizing this overwhelming invasion by the cartels and their operatives here. He told me about a gang that operates in Hidalgo County. And in order to be a member of this gang, you have to be in the United States illegally, and you have to engage in illegal conduct. And this gang is widespread not only in Hidalgo County, but across the state of Texas. And it's a tough task for their one office to deal with these gang members as well as the other insurgencies by the cartels.
What do you think we need to do to first of all, secure the border and provide for the public safety of our citizens, particularly in the state of Texas?
Well, the answer is really amazingly simple. It's just a matter of living up to the commitment. It's a combination of several things. One is strategic fencing. Two is boots on the ground. We've dealt with multiple insurgencies by the cartels, and we've found that every single time that happens, we are most effective when we have additional boots on the ground to repel those insurgencies. And then you combine that with several forms of technology. One are ground-based technology solutions, such as monitoring mechanisms, and the other are air-based monitoring mechanisms. Those responses combined provide very effective tools. But it's not going to get done until we get more help from Washington in dealing with this growing insurgency.
What kind of job do you think Governor Perry's done on the issue of border security?
Well, Governor Perry was a leader in our state in responding when the problem began to arise initially. Governor Perry is the one who was behind putting together the $400 million devoted to border security. He's the one who came up with a Ranger Recon program to deal with Texas putting boots on the ground, as well as working in a collaborative-based system. And then in this last legislative session, a report was commissioned that was recently issued by two retired generals that provided greater details both with regard to the challenges as well as the ways to respond.
And that report initiated by the Secretary of Agriculture, correct?
Exactly, who is doing a great job of leading this effort, especially as it concerns the rural areas along the border, the farmers and ranchers who deal with these cartel members on a daily basis, and they're frightened out of their lives in dealing with this. And they're just thankful for the Second Amendment and their right to bear arms to protect themselves. Because if they didn't have their own Second Amendment rights, they would be completely defenseless along the border.
Attorney General Abbott, as always, great to have you with us here on the show. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Lou. Thank you for all you do.
Thank you. Attorney General Greg Abbott. He is one of the country's outstanding attorneys general, and always fascinating to listen to.